The Russians and the English, because the British took us over after that, they met at a square. The Russian soldiers and the English soldiers saluted each other. They went over there and the others went over there. Okay, then the English put us on a truck and drove us to the Americans. That's when the Americans took over. And then with the Americans, I went to Lille, as far as Lille. In Lille, we were the first racial prisoners of war that came back. There had none been back, and since we were in a uniform, and since I was French born, they called us first before all the other prisoners of war. They called my girlfriend to one side, and we on another to interview us. I didn't understand a word they asked me, so finally I said, "Who's come over here, help me? I don't know what he wants from me." So then we went into an officer's room. And he wanted to know how come, if I was French born, how come I didn't speak any French? And she said to him that I lost my mother at a very young age, which was a truth, and that I was sent to Germany to be with relatives. And then, when we came to the camp, we weren't allowed to speak any other language but German. And then I had typhus fever and forgot wherever French I knew. Well, they bought it, I guess, because we finally got into Marseille, and I couldn't walk. And I was extremely unhappy. I mean, I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't. I locked myself up in a room every single day and cried. Until finally I said to myself, either you're going to continue living, or you might as well commit suicide, because what kind of life is that? So then I went to the police department and I told them that I wasn't really French born. Because I figured I didn't want to stay in France, that was for sure. If I want to go to America, I can't go. I had no papers. My age was wrong, I had made myself 2 years younger. My name was wrong, because from Margot Jacobs, I changed to Marguerite Jacob, because it sounds a little bit more French. I was born in Strasbourg, which wasn't true. I mean, nothing about my papers was any truth to it. So I went to the police and they told me, how do we know that you're not a spy? That's why I made myself 2 years younger, thinking that they wouldn't think I was a spy. They told me, come once a month to the police department, but don't leave Marseille without police permission. So in the meanwhile, I get a telegram from my sister. She found out that I was in Marseille. She got the address and all, but there was no return address on the telegram, and I didn't know how to answer. 2 weeks later, I get another telegram, and again without a return address. So I sent a telegram to the Queen of Holland, to the Mayor of Amsterdam, and to the Chief of Police of Amsterdam, requesting their address. I knew her last name, but I didn't know where she was living. I didn't know she was alive. So naturally, I wanted to see her. I mean, she's the only one that I knew was alive. So I didn't know that she had a child. I didn't know that I knew that she was married, but I didn't know she had a child or anything. So anyway, the Chief of Police sent me the address. But they didn't give any visiting visas out, they did nothing. You couldn't cross the borders. So I figured, well, I'll go illegally. I have no passport, I have nothing where my name is written on. All the false papers I left behind, because there was no sense in taking them. I had no papers which were right. And I traveled with one suitcase. The suitcase was this big, it was a wooden suitcase. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I don't know the street names. There was a red cab guy in front of me. I asked him to take the suitcase to the station, and I followed him. Then I got the train to Lille. In Lille, they told me to go to Valenciennes, which is right on the border. And they told me, go through the forest and you will get into Belgium. So I keep on walking and I see the steeple of a church. And I figured, if there's a church, there has to be people. So I walk towards it, and I'm right in front of the Belgian border patrol. Okay, so I go back into the forest, but he saw me already. So he calls me, he said, where do you want to go? I figured, where am I going to go? If I tell him Belgium, I didn't know anything about Belgium. So I told him the truth, I want to go to Holland. He said, do you have any Belgian money? You can't buy anything with French money here. I said, no. He said, there is a bank down the street. I changed my money, they didn't ask any questions. He told me where the train station was. And then the American soldiers in Marseille had given me a lot of cigarettes. And they were at a premium at that time. So after he let me go through, I gave him a carton of cigarettes, a whole carton. So I got the train in Belgium, but I had the address of the Jewish army in Antwerp. I go to that house where the address that I had. There's a light under the door. I knock on the door, somebody opens the door. I only said one word, I said shalom. And then they said, where do you want to go tonight? I said, I want to go to Holland. They said, if you want to go tonight, we'll have to go tonight. Because a truck is going over to Holland tonight. So they put me in the back of the truck, put an army coat on me, put an army hat on me, drove me to the train, put me on the train, and I get into Amsterdam about 9 o'clock at night. I got a horse and buggy, and when I got to my sister's house, he said, it's 15 gulden. Now I only had 12 gulden left, so I pointed to him to come upstairs. And my brother-in-law was standing in the window when we pulled up, and he said to my sister, I think your sister is here. I had not said a word to them. I had not told them that I was going to come because I was afraid in case I didn't make it. Because if the French would have caught me in between, they probably would have jailed me. I wasn't supposed to leave Marseille without police permission. And I didn't ask them. Then naturally, when my sister saw me, we fell around each other's neck and we laughed and cried everything at the same time. That's when I found out how my sister found out that I was in France. The city where I came from, they had a club there. They were meeting once a month or whatever. My girlfriend's parents, her mother, she went to the meeting and she got to talk to a woman there. And she said to this woman that her daughter is together with a girl in France and that that girl does not know whether any of her family is alive. So when the other woman asked her what her name was, and she gave her my name, she said, my daughter is very close friends with her sister. In fact, she got a letter from her yesterday. Now what a coincidence that she had talked to that woman, the only woman that would have known that my sister was alive. The only person. So that's how my sister knew that I was alive. I was in Holland for 1.5 years. I was working there, and one day, one of my schoolmates, he went back to the city where we came from, and he saw my brother there. And he came to where I was working, and he told me that our brother was alive, and he told me where he was. He was at our city. He went back to the city, and we corresponded. It was nice to know that he was there, that he was alive.